When Dr. Danny approached me to speak at this breakfast this morning, I said, "Danny, why do you want me?" And he said, "Neil, for the last 9 years, you've been a model supporter of SARRC, and we really appreciate it." And I thought, that made me feel really good, and I was so excited to go home and tell my wife, Lynn. And I got home, and before Lynn got home, I got out the dictionary, and I looked up the word model, and it said, "small imitation of the real thing." And I wasn't so sure that was a compliment, Danny. But in all seriousness, I want you to take a second and think about the worst day of your life. Because the worst day of my life was the day I heard the words, "My son has autism." That was the day that I was filled with grief, extreme fear, anxiety about the unknown. But fortunately for us, SARRC was with us from the very beginning. And Lynn and I have been warriors for SARRC ever since that day. When our son Jack was born, Lynn and I had the same dreams as many of you. We had dreams of Jack playing Little League, going to birthday parties, learning to drive. How about a high school graduation and going off to college one day? And that all changed in 1 second with the word autism. Today, when you take your kids to Little League, Lynn and I take Jack to speech therapy. When your kids are at play dates, our son, he struggles to learn basic skills, how to hold a pencil, how to make eye contact. When your kids are attending a birthday party, our son, he's home alone. For those of you that have kids with autism, you know exactly what I'm saying. Well, Jack has his own dreams, and his dream is to become a scientist. And with the amazing support and progress Jack's made, I think he can reach that goal. But we're still fearful. But thanks to SARRC, I can see a brighter future for our kids. My biggest fear is what happens when Lynn and I are no longer here to take care of our son. But I believe with the support of SARRC's Vocational and Lifestyle Skills Academy, that one day I can imagine that he'll live on his own and be independent. I fear that I have to keep an eye on Jack all the time. In fact, I have to tell you a little story that just happened. We were recently at an airport, and in the center of the airport, they had this brand new Lamborghini roped off for display purposes. Well, my wife was busy with our daughter, Jack's twin sister, and I was on the phone. I turned my head literally for 2 seconds, and when I turned back, Jack was standing on the roof of this Lamborghini right next to the sign that said, "Please do not touch." You could amaze, I was a little bit horrified as I scooped him off the Lamborghini and then started looking around to see if there was any permanent damage. But there wasn't, and everything turned out to be just fine. I fear sometimes going out to dinner, going shopping, going to a mall, because of the judgments and the looks that you get from people are just plain awful. But I imagine with SARRC's great program, Community Works, that our society and our place in Phoenix, people are becoming more compassionate. They have more empathy and understanding. As a parent, do you feel concerned about your kid ending up alone? Could you imagine how we feel? We can imagine today with Jack and all of his hard work that my wife and I will proudly one day stand at his wedding. What do I fear? I fear that many more parents will hear that dreaded word, autism. I fear it. But I imagine, and I'm full of hope that with SARRC, they have a place to go, someone to shepherd them through the system, someone to hold them and let them know they too will be okay. but more importantly, that they will help them achieve the best possible outcome for their child, because we all want the best for our kids. One of the biggest things that I appreciate with SARRC and I love about this organization is the environment of sharing, caring, and trust. From the second you walk into that organization, you feel it. You feel the love. You feel the compassion. You feel the empathy. For all of these reasons and more, Lynn and I have been steady, fast warriors for SARRC. Our friends always ask us the same questions. How do you do this with the same enthusiasm and the same energy that we do it year after year? In fact, our friends, many of them here today, they have been to so many fundraisers and so many events. They now consider their donations part of what I call the Balter tax, which is apparently the price of being friends with us. So, how do we keep up our passion? Let me explain it this way. 9 years ago, our son was diagnosed with autism. Today, he still has autism. 6 years ago, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. After a year of treatments and a surgery, she's now cancer-free and doing great. But our son still has autism. 9 months ago, I was diagnosed with a form of leukemia. I've just finished intense chemotherapy and a stem cell replacement. But I too will be fine. But our son still has autism and always will.